Man, giving away these Sona emotes is really tough. How can I meaningfully decide who gets them when I have so few of them? Meanwhile, I have to keep the angry part of my community happy.
Thank you.
Hideous. In the last video, I made a riddle based on the lore of League of Legends so we could give away some emotes. You know, a little Easter egg hunt for all of you story enthusiasts. The riddle was my last word my, and the answer was Aksamuk Varchoi Koari Ikathor, the main character of Where Ikathia Once Stood. Aksamuk slowly lost his sanity at the end of the story until he couldn't even remember his own name. His last words and the last words in that story were my. Oh boy, let's see how people like that riddle.
What?
Absolutely incredible.
Why?
Necrit, nobody commented this.
How?
In early 2018, a lesser-known indie company, Riot Games, decided to give some context to their skins, possibly under the influence of Garena. Oh, those guys always try to profit off of the good deeds of Riot. Players found a new tab called Collection in their clients. Most of what you found here was previously under the Profile tab, but one thing was new: skins. More importantly, besides just showing you what skins you own, there was also the story of those skins. This was the first time we ever got some context to what skins even are. To that day, chainsaw death machines cut through people with sticks and stones and nobody raised an eyebrow. Through the Collection tab, we learned that skins come from alternative copies of Runeterra where different events emerged throughout its history. In the Blood Moon universe, Jhin figured out how to summon demons. In the Battlecast universe, Victor perfected the Glorious Evolution. Odyssey obviously takes the universe into Space Age. Then there is a universe where everything is candy. And horror. Skins suddenly had context, even though they played no role in the evolving lore of our Runeterra. But that was soon to change. In September 2018, Riot released the Odyssey event, a brand new universe that would fit right there among all the other alternative universes. Odyssey was great because it dropped in out of nowhere. Riot didn't tease what it is, and they didn't even test it on PBE. Yes, that may have led into some annoying bugs, like the augments not working at all for the first 2 days. But ultimately, people really appreciated the fact that it was a secret until its release. Riot never does that these days. Whoever has a PBE account generally tends to spoil everything for everyone else about a month before it hits live. And by the time it gets to live servers, the hype kind of dies down. I am really glad Odyssey didn't turn out that way, for its gameplay and its story were a nice surprise. Thankfully, if there is one thing nobody spoils for other League players, it is the story. And oh boy, was the story good. I'm already a big fan of the sci-fi fantasy settings like StarCraft, Warhammer 40k or even WildStar, but one character made it bigger than any other character in the entirety of all alternative universes. Rast. You see, Rast was just a magical scythe that dropped onto a planet on the edge of the universe. There, in secret, he started mind-controlling people. Nothing special. But when Kayn got to wield Rast, he learned that Rast is from a different universe. Because Rast is actually one of the Darkstar. At this point you'd think, that's neat, the Odyssey and the Darkstar skin lines are parts of the same universe. But no, they're not. The point is, they are not from the same universe. Rast became such a groundbreaking character because ever since we learned what he is, everything started making sense. Skin lines became more than just skins. Every line became a pocket dimension that has a separate story, yet it is part of a massive overworld. Rast may be from the Darkstar universe, but he dropped into Odyssey so he could consume the Odyssey universe. The story goes that Rast is a Darkstar outcast, and to redeem himself in the eyes of his brethren, he's trying to prepare the Odyssey universe as an offering. Rast is the first character that we know of that can move between dimensions. And I don't mean physical realms or spirit planes. Rast can move between skinline universes, ultimately tying skins of League of Legends into a proper canonized universe where everyone can meet and everyone can battle. No matter what universe you're from, no matter what version of a champion you are. Doesn't that remind you of a certain game?
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
So we know that all the different universes can be connected now, and everyone can meet in one place. It's almost as if Rast confirmed that we have two canonical story lineups. We have the base Runeterra that we know and love, with stories only affected by base champions, And then we have the overall universe, where all the skin lines have their own alternative stories that potentially can be tied together. But things get crazier. Rust may have introduced the idea of connected parallel universes, but there's a character who gives everything meaning. This guy. Jerk. Okay, from the last video people may have gotten the idea that I may not like the new Ezreal. That's not the case. I really like the new character and his voice actor is amazing, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't have an opinion on his personality. He's a little bit, self-centric. He also makes his uncle pay all his bills. But it is his cooler counterpart, Pulsefire Ezreal, that gives everything meaning. He's the character that ties everything together. And most importantly, he brings back League of Legends. But we'll get to that. Pulsefire Ezreal has connections to all the other skin lines because they are just parallel universes that he can travel to. And he does it often. Pulsefire characters jump between dimensions, confirming that Rust wasn't an exception. When Ezreal sees an Arclight champion, he mentions how he would also love to be an Arclight guy. And when talking to the Justicars, he asks them if they could mention him in their world, because Ezreal believes he would be worthy of being Arclight. When he meets a Battlecast champion, he mentions his previous encounter with them. He also talks about how Zone discovered nuclear power that eventually spawned the Road Warrior skins. You can also learn that Ezreal stole one of the demon masks from the Blood Moon cult. He also accidentally destroyed a couple of universes and he apologizes to the Cosmic champions. Which means that the Cosmic skin line is also based around traveling between dimensions. When encountering any of the culinary masters, Ezreal mentions that their cooking show is #1 in 50 different universes, confirming that all those parallel universes are aware of each other. We also know that the stories progress over time, because Ezreal mentions how last time he saw a mecha champion was when the war in the mecha universe just began, meaning that a lot of time has passed since. But things get even better. Ezreal has two special interactions, one with the Marauders and one with the Wardens. From these interactions we learned that the Wardens are soldiers of the Protectorate, and the Marauders are the Mage Lords. If you're a veteran player of League of Legends, these two names should ring a bell, because these were the two sides that battled on Summoner's Rift in the original remade lore. It was the Mage Lords against the Protectorate. Ezreal even mentions the Institute of War that was supposed to be the diplomatic ground in these wars. But the Marauders came from a universe where the Mage Lords won, and the Wardens are from a universe where the Protectorate won. So obviously whichever side won dominated their position in the Institute of War. Of course, in the currently canon lore, there are no mentions of the Protectorate or the Mage Lords ever existing. The closest we ever got to these was in Ryze's cinematic, when he looked on the pedestal depicting two ancient mage nations. And in Aurelian's Twin Dawn story, where he overlooked two nations in war. It is also possible that in our universe, Summoner's Rift was wiped out during the Rune Wars. So maybe on our Runeterra none of the nations survived. And here is where League of Legends comes in. Ezreal mentions that these two are just separate timelines, where one or the other nation won. Which means that there is a universe where League of Legends is still up and working, where Summoner's Rift is a thing, where champions meet and battle for whatever reasons they may have. Maybe that universe works like a prison, or maybe it's a form of entertainment, but League of Legends exists. Interestingly enough, a little more than half a year ago, there were mentions that Riot is looking into ways to bring back the summoners. Maybe in a brand new way that we wouldn't expect, but apparently they were experimenting with it. I wonder if this is the outcome of that work. I wonder if the summoners come from a timeline where the Institute of War works. A timeline where we, the summoners, get champions from all across different universes into an arena to fight. This would certainly help us understand how do in-game interactions work. We have always been told that if one champion meets another, they talk to each other as if they had really met there. That's why we could never consider interactions as a proper source of information. It's just a massive what-if scenario. For example, Swain has interactions with Garen, but in their canon stories the two have never met in their lives. So we can only get speculations from their reactions if they ever met in battle. But because we can now assume that there is a place where League of Legends exists, suddenly these interactions have better value because characters can actually meet. And this really is how they would interact. So now, if someone asks you, what even is League of Legends and why do foot soldiers fight gods there? You tell them, League of Legends is an arena from an alternative universe where countless dimensions overlap and create their own canonical storylines. To finish this off, I want to mention two more things. I don't think it would be too unreal for Riot to introduce an alternative universe where the summoners are incredibly powerful mages that use League as a form of entertainment. Obviously I wouldn't expect any massive stories, because Riot still needs to focus on their main universe, and things could easily get confusing. but a small story vague enough to only hint that there are some kinds of summoners bringing warriors into an arena. Maybe not even powerful beings, just mention that they are summoning mortals. That on its own would be enough to start speculations that League is back. I also wanted to quickly mention some of the alternative universes that suddenly got more context. Now that we know that universes can be tunneled through, it's as if speculation floodgates opened. We have the Star Guardian series, where the Star Guardians fight back monsters from another dimension, possibly from another universe. We have the Blood Moon series, where the cultists summon blood demons from another dimension, possibly from another universe. Upon closer inspection, I noticed the Cosmic line is actually directly part of the Darkstar universe, which is now being connected with Odyssey. The Pulsefire are champions capable of traveling across time and space. Most of them worship time, with Shen being their time warlord. Twisted Fate is known as Time Thief though. The rest of the universes are isolated as far as we know, but this leaves me with one final question. How does traveling between dimensions work on our Runeterra? If Bard can travel between realms, is he also aware of parallel universes? And what about Zoe? I know it's just a little Easter egg, but Zoe is actually carrying the key originally worn by Fiddlesticks, which is a really old tie to the original League of Legends, because Fiddlesticks was a creation of the Summoners. But don't freak out, it's all just speculation. I am glad we are getting these teasers left and right. Lately, Riot Games has been really good to us. I would totally give them my money if I wasn't bankrupt because of Odyssey. Almost as if they were too nice. Hang on a minute. I knew it! Hey, did you know that we have social media and Twitch where we talk about other League facts and stories? And did you know that we have need mugs and shirts too? The links to all of that will be below. And as always, thank you, come again.